AirTech Mod Soldier here, and I'm back to talk about the Orville Season 3, Episode 2, and my thoughts on this episode. I loved it. I thought it was great. It didn't feel slow. I wanted it to keep going at points. Yeah, absolutely interesting, this episode. Again, this is true Star Trek. I mean, Seth MacFarlane knows what he's doing, and I have all the faith in the world that we're going to keep getting great episodes. There was a part in this where I kind of thought we were going to go a little bit woke, but should have had faith, because we didn't. It's kind of a Me Too moment I kind of think we were going to get, but we didn't. CGI, great. Pacing, great. Cast, great. Everything's just great about this show. It's so good to watch a show. We don't really have to worry that the story is going to turn shit, that it's not going to be interesting. Again, did get a little bit of that, but I was wrong. This show is just amazing, and this episode, again, it wasn't like... I think the first episode was better, but this is still a great episode to watch, and so interesting, especially the plot of the episode. It was good seeing more of Dr. Finn. Great seeing her. She's a great actress. I would like to see more of Teller. Again, I know she's head of security, but I want to see more of her. I'd like to see her have her own episode soon. But again, she was great on the screen. Again, the whole cast was great. And it's just so good to watch good TV. Because past couple of years, all we've been getting is shit. And all I've been covering is all these shit Star Trek shows. At least, well, today's Star Trek was okay. And, well, if you watch my review, you know what I mean. But, yeah, this episode's great. If I'm going to give it a score out of 10, I'm giving it a 9. No, that's too good. 8. I'm giving it an 8. It's a great episode. If you have not watched this episode, go watch it. It's so interesting. And, yeah, just have fun with it. It's the Orville. What do you expect from it? So, we're going to go into spoilers now, so you don't want to hear spoilers. Leave in 3, 2, 1. So, the episode starts off with... the crew being told that they're going to meet the Kalon to talk about new peace terms between the Federation and the what are they called again? The Union, not Federation, Union and the Krill. And in the talks, the Union has asked, can they go into Krill space and explore, because those territories have been off limits because of the war between the Krill and the Union. So it's being led, the Union's negotiation team is being led by Admiral Christine, and he has managed to convince the Krill to allow the Orville to go into Krill space. So they meet up with a Krill ship. They have this interesting party with the Krill, and the Krill kind of say, yeah, we're allies, but we're only allies until the Kalon are completely destroyed, and then they go back to killing each other. And it was kind of funny to see, Kelly's and Mercer's reaction to that. It was a pretty good scene. We see Dr. Finn and Admiral Kelly talk to each other, and it turns out Kelly is his ex-wife, and she left him because he wasn't serious, and she felt more of a bed warmer than an actual wife. And he's come back to the Orville because, he's here for the Krill, but in reality he wants to see Dr. Finn, and he wants to restart their relationship with each other. In the Krill meeting, you have Mercer, Kelly, and Admiral Chrissy, and the Krill allow the Orville into their space, but they have to go through a certain route. They're not allowed to go anywhere near certain points. If they do, the Krill will attack. And they agree to the terms, but they also ask if they can go to a system called the Clave system, where there's a void that they want to explore. The Krill tell them they shouldn't go near that area because in their sacred text it warns of a demon who will take over their bodies, and the Krill say, if you go in that region, we will not help you if you get killed. So Admiral Chrissy just says it's nonsense, but agrees to the terms. The Krill allow them into their space, and before the Krill leave, they say a prayer to them, to the people who are about to die. So it's pretty much, they saying they're going to die, basically. Sorry. When the Krill leave, they have Mercer and Kelly talk with Admiral Chrissy about this, and he just says, listen, it's just superstition. I'm sure whatever's out there, science can explain what's happening. So they head to the region. We see some scenes between Admiral Chrissy and Isaac, and Chrissy wants to ask about Finn because he wants to restart the relationship with her, but he hasn't seen her in a very long time, so he wants Isaac to tell him, what's her favourite things, basically, anything that could help him restart the relationship. Which is kind of funny because Isaac did date her for a little bit, so I kind of enjoyed this scene because it's like you're asking her ex about her. So again, it was a funny scene to watch, and Isaac pretty much tells him, she likes to watch films, help people, and then he tries to talk about favourite sex positions, and he's like, stop there, and I thought that bit was pretty funny. The Orville then goes into the void, where it's complete darkness everywhere, and then they find this station, this red horror-looking thing, and decide to check it out because they can't scan any life on this station. And then they receive a distress call from it, and Mercer decides to check it out with Kelly and Lamar to go with him. So they head to the station, they land on it, they look around, but Admiral Kelly looks at one of these bulb things that's on the wall, and the bulb thing opens and sprays him with some sort of chemical that starts to transform him into something. They get him back to the Orville, and it starts to get worse and worse, this infection. Dr. Finn scans him. She sees that the virus is spreading faster and faster in his body and transforming him into something different, a new species. When so Mercer decides to go back with Lamar to check the station again, but they weren't wearing protective gear or suits, but they wear that stuff this time to scan the bulbs and see what they infected the Admiral with. On the ship, Dr. Finn talks to Admiral Christie, and he wants her to put his wedding ring back on because he doesn't want to die without it around his finger. She does. You have a little personal moment between them where she says she'll bake him a souffle, and he admits to her, I only lied because I loved you. It tastes like crap, basically. Again, another interesting scene between them. But his infection is getting worse. He starts to have a bigger eye on the left side of his face. Is that the right side? Yes, the left side of his face. So the infection is getting worse. And Dr. Finn doesn't know if she can stop it. Back on the station, Mercer and Teller manage to get a sample from one of the bulbs. And it turns out it's an infection that the Orville scanners couldn't detect. And it affects their body and it transforms it into something else. When they get back to the ship, whilst they're trying to get back to the ship, the Dr. Finn leaves Admiral Kelly on his own, and then he disappears somewhere. And it turns out he's gone to engineering to turn on a dampening field, which turns off all the Orville systems and shuts out the bridge from the controls and the engineering from their engine. It turns out that this distress call was not a distress call, but in fact a trap. And it turns out it is it's not just a trap, but we find out later what else it is. On the ship, you start hearing sounds And again, this was a great horror episode as well, because it starts going to a horror element, which I loved. So Dr. Finn leaves the med bay to check on her kids. She leaves one of the nurse guys. Whilst he's alone, he then hears something out in the corridor. He goes to investigate and is then attacked by some creature. We then get a scene where Dr. Finn's kids, Ty and Marcus, are looking for Dr. Finn. They've been told not to leave their room, but Marcus, again, he is a teenager now. He doesn't want to just stay in his room waiting. He wants to go out and investigate, and he wants to try and find their mother faster. So they go out and look for him. They get to the canteen, where they're then chased by a spider-looking creature. Again, I love the design of the creature. I think it looks weird and scary at the same time. And yeah, it was a great seeing this thing. And it chases both of them. They hide behind a table, but are then found by a security officer. And then the security officer asks them what they're doing here. Ty tells them that there's a monster, but again, it's a kid telling you there's a monster there, so the security guy doesn't believe them, but is then attacked by the same monster, who then sprays something in his mouth, which begins to transform him into the same creature. And what we find out about this is it wasn't a trap. Well, it wasn't just a trap. It was a mating call. Because this species doesn't procreate like we do. It procreates by spreading like a disease amongst other races and turning those races into their race. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird trap. I mean, it's kind of a very weird episode, but interesting at the same time. On the ship, well, back with Mercer on the shuttle, they manage to get back on the ship. They try to look around and help. Lamar goes back to engineering. He manages to turn on power again and is then attacked by these spider creatures. But he manages to get away. He hides himself in the brig, where these creatures try to attack him and infect him, but there's a shield on the brig so they can't get near him. Teller comes in, manages to beat the shit out of all these spider aliens, and I thought it was a great scene between them. Again, the CGI a little bit bad, but I loved it for what it was. She's just whacking them everywhere, and you can see they're trying to infect her, but she manages to fight them off and kills knocks one of them out and takes that spider creature to Dr. Finn, who manages to figure out that this race doesn't have strong immune systems, so all she has to do is infect them with the common cold and she can wipe them all out. But Mercer doesn't really want to do this because they're still his crew, and he wants to give them an opportunity to leave of their own free will. At the same time, Gordon scans and detects that a ship is approaching them, which is the same design as the station, the alien station. So it turns out they are coming to get their people, basically. So Mercer has to make a decision, but he leaves that up to Dr. Finn, who offers the aliens a choice. They either leave the ship or she infects them and kills them. But she needs to talk to the lead alien, which is Admiral Casey. So she tells Teller to scan for Admiral Casey's ring. And she does. She finds it's in engineering. So she goes down there and tries to talk to him. But he doesn't really care because he's too infected. And he says, you're all going to be infected and you're going to become like us. But a great scene between them. Dr. Finn pretty much tells him, you either leave the Orville or I'll kill you all. And the alien sees that she's not kidding and says a call out to all the infected people to leave the ship. But his last words to the crew are, you will be us one day, and then they leave the ship. And I don't know if they're going to come back. I kind of hope they do, because this seems like a very interesting species and a very dangerous one as well. But they are very interesting. And the Orville manages to get power back and leaves the system. they tell the Union what happened, and the Union have decided that they will not allow any more of their ships to go in this region of space because it's too dangerous, and they don't understand the species who live there. So the Orville will be leaving Krill space, well, leaving that part of Krill space alone. And it pretty much tells us that their Krill religion and their text, it might be fictional, but everything fictional is based on fact. So there might be more to their book than a bunch of nonsense. So I think Mercer's going to start studying the book so they know what they need to watch out for in Krill space if they stay there. I think they do because you see it in the trailer. And then the last scene is Isaac checking up on Dr. Finn and making sure she's okay. And Dr. Finn tells Isaac to come join her at the table, and they start talking about something. I don't know what they're talking about. And then the episode ends. I think this was a great episode. I think it's more of a horror episode, and I really enjoyed that. I also enjoyed seeing more of Dr. Finn. She's a great character, and I love her. Again, I like seeing more of the characters. Again, you see what's different about the Orville to all the fucking Star Trek episodes? They give each character a arc. They give each character time to shine. I do want to see more of Teller, because, you know, I don't know that much about her, and she has been in the show the least, and I want to see more of her. But again, this is what Star Trek used to do. You'd focus on one character an episode, not just the fucking main people, not just the captain, not just the second officer. No, you'd focus on all the crew, and that's what this show is great at. Yeah, it's a great episode. I love the horror aspect of it, and I love the designs of the aliens too. And I hope we see more of this species, because they seem very interesting. And yeah, I'm giving it a 8 out of 10. And that's the end of my review. If you like this review, give it a like. If you dislike this review, a dislike. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. And wow, this is a shorter review than I thought it would be. Well, that's good. Well, that's it from me. Entertainment World Soldier. Bye.